pickup system, Kenny Johnson Ski and Bow pickup, which I think is the best pickup I've ever had on my fiddle. And this goes through an AB box here, which gives me capability of going between the two different fiddles, fiddle A, fiddle B, and also mutes. Goes to a tuner so that I can tune at any point. And then before I go into anything, I go through a little EQ pedal, which just takes a little bit of the top end off it, and I boost a little bit of 250, which is the kind of resonant frequency of the clip-on mic. So from the EQ, I go into an octaver, which is the POG. There's a lot of different ranges of octave. Usually I only use the simple one down. And then for pizzicato, quite often use. And then from there I go into a delay, which I don't use so much, but I can use it on pizzicato to kind of fatten the sound a little bit. And then into a looper. And then into a reverb pedal. And the channel can get split here. I've got another AB box, so I can set up the loop and the reverb and then not go to that, so that I'm not doubling the effect.
Most of this stuff is just so it can be louder. There are some textural things that we do with some of these things. So the guitar, obviously we have a clean sound and a dirtier sound. And I also have a loop pedal. And a particularly interesting one is the freeze effect. I don't know if you've come across that before. But it just means it'll freeze the split second that you put it on. So like that. And then we've got this kind of crazy an analog delay made by Moog. It's called a Mooger Fooger. Yeah, I mostly just use it for kind of thickening things up a little bit. There's a little bit of trem sometimes.
A majority of the stuff is about making the instrument sound better or getting signals loud enough. So there are quite a lot of things that are just DI boxes or pre's or stuff like that. But it's more fun to turn them up really high and then you can hear what they're doing. But the accordion is really the zenith of music technology. Everything else is just trying to keep up. The left hand has an octave on it because the accordion is shy without help. There's also a bit of compression on the right hand into Leslie, which is very useful because it's a very dynamic kind of a thing, the accordion. It can be off or loud. I have a loop pedal as well. Quite a lot of what we use my loops for is structural. A lot of what we use Aidan's loops for is textural. So a lot of these bits I have here are about trying to make things happen that we've done on records via overdubs that we then want to recreate live. I've got the loop of me and Chris, and it lives in there, and I tap it in at whatever tempo it is that Chris starts to track. And we put the next layer on top, which is from this electric piano, which is loud. And although, so there we go, that was lovely, wasn't it? So then there are various effects on the whirly, the same pog that Aiden uses. So that's some distortion. Yes, please. And some delay. It's nice for me to have these up here because then I can fiddle about with them with my hands, which is great. If you have got your hands free and you use pedals, I would encourage you to mess around with them as you use them because they come much more musical. You can make things feed back into themselves and be able to turn them down, which is quite important at the end, or they go on forever. And then I have a computer. So Ableton Live runs on this computer. There are some things that are structural. Again, a couple of bits that samples from the album that I play. This is a cake tin with a piezo pickup, a very cheap pickup on top of it. That runs into Ableton and through its vocoder. So there is a sample running in the background, which we can't hear until it is triggered by something on here. And for another song, it's a kind of explosion noise. I find it a much more human thing than this sort of thing, which is so binary. There's something quite analog about being able to hit something. We should actually introduce Tim, who is our engineer and has been extremely important in helping us develop this, and also a very inspiring musician in his own right. But this is Tim Matthew, now resident Shetlander. Hi, Tim. So it's really important to have somebody that side of the stage listening to all this stuff, because you can't really listen and play at the same time. So one of the things that is invaluable to us is that Tim listens to the whole thing and comes and goes, you want to turn that distortion down, or the octave's a bit much, or things that are pretty much impossible to gauge.
What we hear up here and what goes out front are not the same thing. We have a kind of stripped back and slightly agricultural version, which is just the things we actually need to hear to all make sure we're playing at the same tempo, at the same time, things like that. So, what you get out front is all the textures, and but the only way that we can all actually be doing the same thing at the same time is by having a lot less noise on the stage here. So, anything that we don't need geographically, we don't have.